Hello my friends and welcome back. Today I would like to do a video about balance and moderation because I think that a lot of times these subjects, these esoteric subjects, to me at least, can kind of feel like paradoxes or contradictory or, you know, what is it, one or the other, for example, the biggest example to me is that we are all one, yet we are all on individual journeys, So I feel like I've been saying to stay in your lane, but remember that we're all one at the end of the day, which kind of, to me, feels contradictory. And so what I want to talk about is that balance, because that is actually what it is. And I feel as though in a lot of ways our society has become really out of balance, and it's like we want one thing to be the answer. We want one solution to the problem. And in reality is there are many different paths to the end. There are many different paths to evolution or enlightenment, or however you want to say it. There isn't just one way. And that trickles down into every aspect of our lives. Let's take diet, for example, because I think that this is a really, really easy example. I think that our eating and our diet has become so polarized. It is become, because now we have diets that are cutting out multiple complete food groups and, being very strict on things. And, I'm not going to name many diets, out there. I'm sure you can figure out for yourself what I'm talking about. And I don't feel that we were meant to eat this way, or we weren't meant to live this way. And, and then you get into the superfoods, and you get into, the wonderful, different vitamins, and then you go hard on those vitamins, or avocados are good for you. So I'm going to eat avocados, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Kale's good for you. I'm going to eat kale, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then you overdo it because you're going hard, and then you end up with more issues than when you started, and you're like, what the heck? I thought I was doing something healthy. I thought I was doing something good for myself. But in reality, you're actually working against your body's natural systems. And, I don't think that we were meant to really get super micro into exactly what that means. But, for example, so too much of anything is a bad thing, even a good thing. So when you are going on your kicks, say you're on a kale kick right now, kale is so good. Well, there is a 0.01, this is not an exact percent, this is an example, but there is a 0.01% of kale that, when overdoing it, is bad for you. So when you're eating it all the time, multiple times a day, those things are building up in your system. That, that small percentage of the kale that's bad for you is now building up in your system, and then is going to cause an issue. When, if you were to eat kale, maybe frequently, but just not every single day, or not multiple times a day, your body then is able to process that small percentage of the kale that isn't good for you, and it's not going to cause an issue because it's not building up, because your body is not processing it over and over and over and over and over again. And that goes the same with pretty much anything. All of these fad diets I'm seeing right now are so extreme, and then they are being preached as a lifestyle. And then a diet used to be, diet, of course, can be many things. It can be what you eat in general, but I'm meaning it in the sense of a fad diet, crash diet. So diets used to be something that you would do in the short term. You know, you're going to go on this diet for a month or 2 or 6 weeks or whatever it is, you know, kind of get the results and then go back to a moderate, healthy way of eating. And actually, did you know that diets didn't really exist until like the 60s-ish? It used to be when you wanted to lose weight or be healthier, you just ate less. You actually didn't change what you were eating, you just ate less of it, which I think is like a very, very interesting idea and something I think that we need to be thinking about. So instead of, you know, just cutting out certain things and binging and eating tons of the things you can eat and overeating them and overindulging in them. I'm dog sitting and they're playing, so if you can hear the puppies, that's what you're hearing. So if you can just bring things into moderation and not be overdoing it on any one thing, that is the most optimal thing for your body. Because, you know, your body gets certain nutrients and certain things from all food groups, from all food, including sugar. You know, sugar's been so demonized, but sugar is actually not the enemy. You know, our body needs a certain amount of fat on it for it to feel healthy and for your body to feel safe. Because, you know, again, one way or the other is not too good. Your body cannot handle too much weight because then all your systems get taxed and your body cannot run like that. And that's why you end up getting sick. But also on the other spectrum, when your body has no fat on it or has a very small percentage of fat on it, your body doesn't feel safe. You may love it, you may love the way your clothes look, and you may love it in pictures, but your body actually doesn't like that. That puts your body also in a state of stress because your body is, all your body is doing is thinking about what is going to happen if you can't get your next meal. We have no storage. We have no backup, your body is saying. You're like, we have no backup energy. What are we going to do? And that comes out in different ways in different people. So back to what I'm saying about moderation. So what if instead of these crazy diets, what if instead of, you know, cutting all this stuff out and then turning it into a lifestyle, like you're never going to eat a carb again or you're never going to eat a piece of meat again, like those things are not serving you, period. And it's okay to want to lean in a certain way if you're like, you know, I feel better when I eat less of this or more of this. However, and like this is going to be unpopular, but I'm going to say it. There is a very, very small percentage of the population that thrives on a vegan diet, period. In the short term, a vegan diet can have wonderful, wonderful results. And to lean your diet in a more plant-based way is great. But if you want to come down to health and talk about nothing else, just about your health, you will find if you follow a lot of people who are healthy influencers that tried a vegan diet, you'll find a lot of them actually end up going off the vegan diet because their body doesn't, and like a lot of them end up with digestive issues. And my opinion on why those digestive issues are happening is because they're overdoing it on the fiber. Because when you go on a vegan diet, fiber is something that skyrockets in your diet. It's only natural, you know, especially if you go on a whole food vegan diet. You know, if you end up on a processed food vegan diet, then you're in a whole nother world of a shitstorm. But if you go on a whole food vegan diet, the amount of fiber is skyrocketed. And fiber, yes, is good for you, but that is also something that needs to be kept in balance. If you're not getting enough fiber, it's not good. But if you're getting too much fiber, it's also not good. And the reason why getting too much fiber isn't good for you is because fiber is hard for your body to digest. That is why it helps to keep you fuller, longer. You know, it helps with your digestion when you're getting the right amount of fiber, because it slows down your body's digestion. And especially with something like fruit, when you are eating a piece of fruit as opposed to drinking a glass of fruit juice, that fiber slows down your body's digestion of the natural sugar. Therefore, it is slowly released into your system. And when you eat sugar without fiber, it's just like a blast of sugar into your system. And that is where the trouble happens. So, fiber is indigestible or harder for your body to digest. So when you're doing nothing but packing your body with that fiber, what is your digestive system supposed to do? They're going to cry out and be like, we can't do this anymore. We can't break down all of this fiber. That's where you end up with the pain and the digestion issues. And, you know, those are a lot of the things that, like, there are systems in our body and systems that we honestly, and even in our food, systems in our food that we have yet to understand. So when science is going really micro and saying, you know, that this might be bad for you and singling all these different things out, they may not necessarily be bad for you. Because science really hones in on one tiny, tiny little aspect. And then they come up with a result, and then we're all like, well, let's lead our lives around this result. When in reality, there's a lot more going on. Like everything else in our reality, there is a lot more than meets the eye that is going on. Let's say with our food example, for example, so they have found that vitamin C is very good for colds, for illness, for a million different things. Vitamin C, vitamin C, vitamin C. Did you know that there is a big difference in your body between a supplemental synthetic vitamin C that you would get from a supplement from, you know, I'm assuming whatever's in your facial product. I mean, I use vitamin C too. I'm not trying to condemn. I'm just saying. So, you know, your facial products, the vitamins, you know, things fortified. If you see the word fortified, that is a synthetic version of something. So, when you see vitamin C, or you're taking your vitamin C, that does not even hold a candle to eating a food with the vitamin C. And the reason why it's suspected is because when you eat a food that's high in vitamin C, like say a strawberry. Strawberries are in season right now. I've been enjoying our local strawberries. They're so delicious and packed with vitamin C. There are systems within the strawberry that we have yet to understand that impact the delivery of the vitamin C to your body. And you know, maybe it has to do with the fiber, maybe it has to do, I mean, we don't really know. We have only begun to scratch the surface of the systems and what actually goes on in the plants. We have only been able to slice and dice the different vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are within the plants. But we have not really started to scratch the surface on how they work together in that coherence, in that perfect way that nature intended. And how that strawberry is going to deliver the micronutrients and, I wouldn't say vitamins, I mean like micronutrients and vitamins and minerals. That strawberry is going to deliver those nutrients to my body in a different way than a pill would, in a different way than a synthetic supplement would. And therefore, because we are nature, and that is nature, a strawberry, again, remember, I mean, okay, they can be modified, I understand that, but for our example, that strawberry is made without ego. Therefore, that strawberry is pure nature, and we are pure nature. Therefore, that symbiotic relationship between us and a natural food is much more beneficial to us than a vitamin that was made with ego. So that is why a lot of times moderation is the best, because there are lots of different systems in all the different natural foods that we need to be eating. So to be condemning and cutting them out doesn't really make sense, because our bodies are complex. We are complex beings, but not just us, the plants, the animals, they are all also complex beings, but they were made in a symbiotic way for us to live together and for us to be that circle of life and to provide nutrients for each other. And that is why a diet of moderation, in my opinion, is the best. And because then you're able to get all of the little micronutrients and things from all of the different sources of nature. And this, I think, this idea needs to be carried through to other aspects of our life. Let's go back to our spirituality. Let's go back to the oneness, the non-separateness. So yes, on a very deep level, every single thing is the universe. Every single thing is God. Every single thing is the divine, because there is only one energy that creates everything. Everything. Okay? We are all cut from the same cloth. That is why we are divine beings. That's why we are whole, complete, and perfect, just as we are, because we are all cut from that divine cloth. And that divine cloth is whole and complete and perfect. So if we are cut from that cloth, how could we not be whole, complete, and perfect? Zoom in to this life, and now it is very, very important for us to keep in mind that we are also on individual journeys, that we are also meant to stay in our lanes, that we are also meant to go within to, I don't want to say fix the problems of the world, but we are meant to go within to then be the example, to then be the light of what we want to see in the world. Because we are all one, our inner world creates our outer world. Because we are the creator, we are the observer, we create our outer world. And how we create this outer world is within ourselves. And that is why it is important to stay in your lane. That is why it is important not to be wanting, and as much as you want to help people and you want to, you know, share your messages, sharing is okay. Wanting to inflict your messages and wanting to tell people how they should be living their lives is a very, very self-righteous thing to do. And being self-righteous is not the way to be. Stay humble. Stay in your lane, because if there are changes, or if someone's doing something that is annoying you or that you think they should be doing differently, you need to take a look at where that is showing up within yourself and why you're feeling like they should be doing something differently, or why you feel like you should be telling them that they should be doing it differently. Because why, if we are all God, if we are all divine beings, then how could what someone else is doing, how could someone else's journey be your concern? Because don't forget, they are God too, just as much as you are. No one's above, no one's below. We are all one. We are all on that same level. So, but again, so then it's that balance. So yes, we want to stay in our lane, but we also want to be a collective, and we need to come together, and we need to help each other, you know. So like the food, it's just that balance. Too much of either way doesn't serve you. But finding that balance, is that sweet spot, is where it's at. And the one thing else I want to talk about balance is you're not always perfectly balanced. And striving for balance doesn't mean that you are in the middle, in the neutral area all the time. You sometimes will sway one way or the other, but remember that life is the ebb and flow. So if you are swinging one way too much, get that reminder of moderation, of that balance, and start to swing yourself the other way. Like, let's go back to the food. If you've been having a kale smoothie every single day for the past 6 months, maybe change it up. You're a little too much on the kale on this side, maybe change it up and go a little bit on this side. Just an idea. Just to, you know, just to strike that balance. Just to keep that moderation. Because remember, too much of anything is a bad thing. So that is our message for today. I really wanted to talk about, you know, moderation and things, because I've just been really feeling that tear, that like paradox, that like, it's, you know, it's both. Everything's both at the same time. What is going on? So I hope this made things a little bit more clear for you. It has made things a little bit more clear for me. And my name is Anne, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you tomorrow, my friend.